Good morning, everyone. What a wonderful start to the day. आपके दिल का ख्याल कोई रखे ना रखे, सफोला ने हरदम ही रखा है. Saffola, Parachute Hair Oil, Kaya Skin Clinic are household names for all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the man behind these brands, Mr. Harsh Mariwala of Marico. May I now request the AV team to please connect us live to Mr. Mariwala. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
You're connected live, sir, with 1,000. We have people waiting for you, eagerly waiting to listen to you.
Thank you. So you
May-
want me to start? Sorry.
May I now invite Mr. Sapan Shah to read the citation of Mr. Mariwala. AV team to please play the AV of Mr. Mariwala.
Mr. Harsh C. Mariwala. Mr. Harsh Mariwala is the chairman of Marico and managing director and chairman of Kaya Limited. He featured in the Forbes list 100 Richest Indians 2022. Marico is a giant consumer goods company with a market cap of 600 billion and presence in 25 countries. He established the Marico Innovation Foundation in 2003, which works towards nurturing innovations in India, and started SN Foundation in 2012, a peer learning entrepreneurial platform. Mr. Harsh Mariwala founded the Mariwala Health Initiative (MHI) with the philanthropic aim of giving back to society. He was awarded the All India Management Association IMA Lifetime Achievement Award 2021 and the EY Entrepreneur of the Year 2020 for India. Please welcome the man whose vision is inspiring, Mr. Harsh C. Mariwala.
May I now invite Mr. Sapan Shah to read the citation of Mr. Mariwala.
Citation. Mr. Harsh Mariwala, Chairman Marico Limited, IMA Lifetime Outstanding Achievement Award 2021. Grit is the stubborn refusal to quit, making a decision and standing by it. Proliferating from the bounds of family-run Bombay Oil Industries Limited, Mr. Harsh Mariwala founded Marico Limited in 1987. Today, Marico is non-parallel example of Indian FMCG multinational with a turnover of rupees 8,000 crores, serving 25 nations and market capitalization close to rupees 70,000 crores. Marico owns iconic brands like Parachute, Nihar Naturals, Saffola, Set Wet, Livon, and Medicare. Not only are they product leaders in their category, but exemplars of brands being synonymous with product categories. Mr. Harsh Mariwala's story is an epitome of grit, gumption, and growth, built with core values of trust, transparency, and innovation. IMA is privileged to honor Mr. Harsh Mariwala on the occasion of the 30th International Management Conclave 2023. Creativity is thinking new things. Innovation is doing new things. With this seed thought, Mr. Mariwala started expanding globally from 1990 and started first international manufacturing in Bangladesh. He also started new service venture, Kaya's Skin Clinic and Mariwala Health Initiative, a platform to promote and support mental health. Mr. Mariwala's leadership mantra is, and I quote, "Treat your people with dignity."
Recording in
Unquote.
progress.
He has unique knack of diversifying management theories and making them application friendly. Mr. Mariwala established Ascent Foundation to create an ecosystem of close-knit, trust group of non-competing entrepreneurs who believe in learning from doers. Harsh Realities is superbly inspiring memoir of Mr. Mariwala's story. IMA is honored to present the great leader, Mr. Harsh Mariwala, the prestigious Lifetime Outstanding Achievement Award 2021 for and on behalf of the board of IMA. Can we have a loud round of applause for Mr. Harsh Mariwala, please? Thank you. Since there was a pandemic in 2021, the IMA International Management Conclave could not be held in person. The IMA team visited Mr. Mariwala's office in Mumbai and handed over the IMA Lifetime Achievement Award 2021 to him. We thank you, Mr. Mariwala, for hosting our team at your office. I now request the AV team to please show us some glimpses of the award presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sapanji, for reading out the citation. A citation is a note accompanying an award describing the reasons for it. At Marico, sir, you have managed to overcome the harsh realities of your entrepreneurial journey by breaking away from the traditionally managed family business and setting up your own FMCG company from scratch. You've also been a catalyst in the growth of many companies by means of your investments and guidance through Sharp Ventures and Ascent Foundation. Today, we would like you to guide us on how to create a right to win and the importance of talent, culture, and governance in building an organization.
Should I begin?
Yes, over to you, sir.
So thank you very much and good afternoon to all of you. Let me begin by thanking all the office bearers of Indore Management Association for conferring this award to me. I met them about I think 1.5 years back in Mumbai, and I couldn't come today to Indore because I had a board meeting this afternoon which was pre-decided. But nonetheless, I am happy to be with all of you virtually, and I will speak to you about my own story. How did I create a right to win, and hopefully it will have some learnings for all of you. So I started at a very young age of 20, just a commerce graduate, joined a family business located in the heart of commodity markets in Masjid Bandar. And we had a edible oil business, we had a spice extracts business, we had a chemicals business. So edible oil business was something which was not being attended to. It was a completely family managed organization. I was the first person from the next generation to join the business. So my father and three of his brothers were managing the business, and there were no professionals in the business. So in my exploratory journey in the beginning of my career, I realized that if I could convert this business from unbranded to branded, I would, I would create a business which was far more sustainable in terms of profits and bottom line and top line. Sorry. So that's how I started touring in small towns, took car and visited all the markets all over the country over a period of 4 or 5 years, including going to Indore many years back in my beginning part of my career. I went to Mao, I went to neighboring markets in Madhya Pradesh. But I think the key thing was, I did a bottoms up, so I had to appoint distributors, I had to do retailing to the retailers, and many times, I would stay at the distributors' houses because in small towns, in rural towns, there were no hotels or the hotel quality was not good, so I would stay with the distributors. But that grounding really helped me in terms of understanding of the business. And similarly, in terms of creating advertising, when we appointed an ad agency, I spent 1 week with the ad agency in terms of understanding how advertising was created. So, if I look back at my own journey, I believe that whenever we've done something innovative, something pioneering, it has really helped us, and it has created a discontinuous impact on the business. All of you will agree with me that it's a highly competitive business environment, and if you offer a Me Too product or something which is similar, which is being offered by others, your chances of success are going to be low. So it's very important for entrepreneurs to identify what is unique uh, thing they are offering in their business. Depending on the kind of business, it could be anything. It could be a service business. You can bring in uniqueness. For example, a company like Domino's would offer pizzas within a certain time frame delivery. It could be some service orientation. It could be innovation. It could be some pioneering initiative. But the key thing is to realize that you have to be unique. And if I look back at the history of our Marico's brands and our portfolio of products, in each and every brand we have, we are market leaders in each and every brand we have. Almost 95% of Marico's turnover, we are market leaders. And I think that has a lot to do with innovation and pioneering and identifying the right spaces where you will compete in the marketplace. So, before entering a segment, we identify, do we have a right to win? Do we have anything differentiated in the marketplace? Can we create innovation? Can we be the first mover? And then once only we realize that we have something differentiated, we enter the marketplace. Because if you succeed, then you are the market leader. You are the market leader. And if you are the market leader, then you get economies of scale, your cost structures are better, you have the pricing power, and you are able to get better financials in terms of profitability. So I'll just give you a few examples. In Parachute, the whole market was in tins, and we realized that we could convert the whole market from tin to plastics. So we saw a big opportunity. The consumers were open to buying product in plastics. It was easier to use. It was cheaper for the consumers to buy it in plastics, and it was more attractive also compared to tin. But when we went to the trade, there was a huge resistance from them, and they felt that this will not succeed because apparently 10 years prior to us, somebody else had launched coconut oil in plastic, which was a disaster because of leakages and because of rat biting and things like that. So the consumers wanted it, but the trade didn't want it. So we had to resolve that issue. We developed a bottle which was a round shaped bottle. We ensured that there was no oil on the outer surface of the bottle, and that's how we tested the product and putting it in a rat cage for a day. We took pictures, and with that, we went in the marketplace. We assured the trade that this is something which is not going to impact you in terms of leakages. We were willing to give them returns or refunds if there was damage to the shop. And I think that really worked. It took multiple innovations in plastics, and through those innovations, whether it's a wide mouth bottle or 1 rupee mini bottle or the parachute cap, which was differentiated, we were able to become market leaders. And from a market share of 15%, we grew to a market share of 50% in a very large category. Coconut oil is used across country, across India, and also outside India. And we are market leaders in Bangladesh also, where we are present. And whatever innovations we have done here, we were able to roll it out in Bangladesh, competing against local brands. And we have an 80% market share in Bangladesh, 50% market share in India. And primarily because of innovative packaging solutions we offered. So it's a very large category. As I said, it's used across India and it's used across income groups, across age groups. And just for your information, we sell something like 6 to 7 crore bottles every month. So it's a big impact. And, those innovations really had a discontinuous impact on our overall financials. And my belief in innovations have gone on increasing. A brand like Saffola, we have pioneered by taking a positioning for good for the heart. That was a pioneering move. And post that, we went to Saffola blends. Again, converted the packaging from tins to plastics and edible oils. So net, what I'm trying to say is identify the right opportunities, be innovative, and if you do that and if it resonates with the consumers, you will succeed. But many a times some innovations do not succeed. There is a failure. So don't be deterred by failures. I'll just give you an example of a failure. We had launched Saffola baked snacks about 10 years back in Bombay. And we thought that we were the first ones to launch baked snacks. And we thought we had a winner on hand because we were the first one. But the mistake we made was that a brand like Saffola, it had to stand for health. So we gave more preference to health over taste. And in the snacks category, taste is the most important thing. The product didn't do well and we had to withdraw the product. But the key learning from that failure was that in foods, taste is the most important. So when later on we launched oats, we launched plain oats and then we realized that consumers in India preferred savory oats. So we went overboard on taste. We profiled the taste of each and every state and gave an offering of Saffola masala oats depending on the state. We did a lot of homework in terms of taste and tastiness. We launched the product and we have created a new category in oats, masala oats, in which we have 80% market share. And that itself in the last 5 years has grown to about 300 crores turnover. So I think what I'm trying to say is we have had multiple failures, but don't be deterred by failures. It will happen. Everything cannot be predicted. You have to do consumer insighting. You have to check out with the trade, but at the end of the day, sometimes things may not work out. But every failure has some learning. So sometimes you win and sometimes you don't lose, but you always learn. So I think these are some of my thoughts in terms of creating the right to win. And if any of you is thinking of starting a business, if you are in a business, you have to maintain that right to win on a perpetual basis. You can't say that I have done some innovation and then I can relax, because it's a matter of time. Others will copy you, and you have to be 2 steps ahead of others. So it's very important that you create a culture of innovation, wherein on a perpetual basis people are thinking of innovation. So as Parachute grew, we started seeing competition, and at one stage Hindustan Lever entered competition. We had just gone public and they wanted to acquire us because they gave almost like a threat to us that if you don't sell out, then you will be history. And it was a very stressful period for me personally, because I was not sure whether we'll be able to survive them. They were like 10 times larger than us. They had all India distribution network, and I'm talking of late 90s. We didn't have, or 97 or 98. We didn't have rural distribution. They had much more power in terms of ability to spend money. But we evaluated this. We discussed internally, and we felt that this is a business we know inside out. So we should be able to take them on. We improved our distribution network. We created advertising, which was highly emotional advertising, and I think that resonated with the consumers. We also had to take steps to improve the morale of our field force, because it was now people were afraid of taking on a company like Levers. But all in all, we took them on. They launched the product not once, but 2, 3, 4 times. They got some market share, but not at our cost. They got the market share at the cost of some weaker players. We were able to maintain the market share at 50% plus. And at some stage, they started losing interest in the category. And at that time, they put the brand for sale. It was an open auction where all the Indian FMCG players had participated, and we were very keen that we should acquire this brand. We didn't want it to lose, so we were very aggressive in bidding, and I think that paid off dividends. We were much higher than other players, and the brand came to us, the Nihar brand. So from actually selling out to an MNC, we bought their brand, and that was a huge source of ego boost for the organization. It was a great inspiration, and looking back, that has been one of the best acquisitions we've had in our history. We've acquired that brand for something like 135 crores in the year 2002. And today, if I had to sell that brand, I think I should be able to get about 5,000 crores for that brand. If I had to put, not that it's up for sale, but I'm just giving an example of a brand which was acquired within 20 years. It's like multiplied from 135 crores to something like 5,000 crores. So what I'm trying to say is you have to take risks, you have to identify opportunities for acquisition. Acquisition is a means to an end. It's not an end by itself. You need to be clear why you want to acquire a company or a brand. In our case, in case of Nihar, we wanted to acquire because it consolidates our market share and improves our market share. So our market share jumped up from 50% to almost 62, 63%. And Nihar as a brand is much stronger in eastern part of India, so that gave us a market leadership in East India. So I think there could be different reasons for acquisition, but don't acquire for the sake of acquisition. Acquisition is difficult to integrate if you acquire the factories, and most companies don't realize the difficulties in integrating acquisition. But this is something which has to be pursued. You have to have a combination of growth, both organic as well as inorganic, if you want to grow in an organization. And for organic growth to happen, you need to have a culture of openness, growth orientation, because the mindset for growth starts at the top. The top has to grow, but the biggest challenge is to how do you filter it down the organization to the bottomest level. So it's very important to have the right mindset and create the right framework, the right way of taking decisions, whether it's a pricing decisions to drive growth or acquisition or launching new brands. And people have to realize that growth is important, because growth is like oxygen. It's oxygen because it I think it touches each and every stakeholder, whether it's the promoters, it is your employees, your associates, your shareholders. But growth has to be profitable. It has to be sustainable. You can't say that I will grow and it will lead to degrowing my profits on a perpetual basis. So I think it's very important to identify the right growth opportunities and grow. And we have made something like in Marico, we made 13, 14 acquisitions over a period of time. Many of them have succeeded, some of them have not succeeded, and we've had our learning. So it's okay, and it's all right sometimes to fail. You don't regret, but you take the learnings from the failure and apply it to your journey in the future. Now, my challenge when Marico began operations in 1990, when it took over the Bombay Oil Industries Consumer Products Division, was to create the right culture which had innovation in it, where people would think of innovation on a perpetual basis. So, how do you drive innovation in an organization is very, very important. And for that, we said that we should have a very flat organization structure. A flat organization structure leads to empowerment. People do work at a much younger age, at a much earlier part in their journey, because the organization is flat. But the quality of talent has to be very, very good in a flat organization structure. So we started recruiting talent from then onwards, from management schools, from chartered accountancy, engineering schools, and every year we take something like 20, 25 trainees, and they are put in positions of responsibility. So when you have a flat organization structure, empower them, create a culture which is open, where people should be willing, open to dialogue each other, because innovation doesn't happen in one person's mind. It's a group effort. Somebody thinks about something, you have to reflect it with somebody else, it gets improved, and then it takes shape. So you need open organization culture, you need trust, and most importantly, to drive innovation, you need risk taking, because if there is a fear of failure within the organization, then people will stop taking risks. So you have to encourage people to take risks, to assure them that it's okay to fail. And many a times you will succeed. There are limitations to market research in any business. So I'm not saying don't do market research, but you always experiment, do consumer insighting, and then only way to prove whether your proposition is working is to prototype that on a small scale if you don't want to risk that much. So prototyping plays a very, very important role in driving innovation. The role of top management is very, very crucial in innovation. So they have to demand innovation. If somebody is making a presentation to me, they will realize that I will ask them, what is the innovative thing you planned for this particular brand? And then we have innovation facilitators in the organization. There are innovative contests for the best innovation within the company, which is shared with everybody. So when you look at innovations from different angles of diverse people, empowered people, openness, trust, risk taking combined with experimentation, prototype, and a top management attention, then people have to think innovation on a regular basis. That innovation can happen in any corner of the organization. It need not be anything to do with new products. It could be innovation in your packaging line. It could be innovation in your sales and distribution infrastructure. So I think people have to think differently, and people have to take risks for innovation to succeed. And I think that's what we are trying to do in Marico from over a period of time. And I think that's the culture we're trying to build. So let me just cover a little bit on governance, because I think it's very important if you're running a business that you look at this subject of governance proactively. It's something which has to cover every entrepreneur, is irrespective of the size of the business. We have seen in many unicorns and many new age businesses, we've started seeing misgovernance and the impact it has had on its valuation. So you can't take shortcuts, because the moment you take shortcuts when you're small and when you become larger, then you'll have a culture of taking shortcuts. So it's very important that you do things in the right way to create the right structures, to create the right governance mechanisms. And now the whole subject of governance has gone beyond governance to what is known as ESG, which is environment, society, and governance. And especially big investors, FIIs, they look at what is the organizational journey in ESG. It's very important. So many times there is a conflict between what is good for the organization and what is good for any stakeholder. And many people think that loyalty has to be rewarded. I have a different opinion on that. I may be a little bit of contrarian as far as that is concerned. I've had people who have done extremely well at some stage in their journey, and they played a very important role. But at some stage, they were not able to manage growth, they were not able to manage the future challenges. So, what do you do with such an individual who was a big asset at one stage but has become more like a liability as of now? And there are two options. Some people think that we should allow them to continue because they played an important role. To me, if you allow a weak performer to continue, then it actually demotivates the other strong performers in the team. It's a weak chain in the link, especially at very senior level. So it's very important that you maintain very high standards of performance within the organization. And if there is a weak performer, it is better that you disengage. You have to give that person some opportunity to improve. But if that doesn't happen, it's better to disengage. But do it in a humane manner. Don't ask them to. So give them time to find some other job. Give them an assurance that if they're not able to find something, then we will support them financially. But you can't allow the organization's interest to suffer just because of loyalty. And I think that's the frame I have used. Even when it came down to me stepping down as the role of managing director, and that happened in 2014. Normally, there's a tendency that in Indian businesses that your children will take over from you. But I deviated from there in 2014 because I realized that there was an individual who was ready to take over. If I had not promoted that person would have left. And I could see that the business would do well. So we promoted him. And in a way, the company turned from a promoter managed company to a strategic investor driven company. So again, I use that thumb rule of what is good for the organization comes first. And to me, governance is all this, in terms of taking the organization's interest, setting the right example, and ensuring that, you are looking at all the stakeholders. Many promoters, I find that, they, just because they're promoters, they think that it is their own company. It is not their own company, especially if it's a public company. It's a company which is, you may have a majority, but the fact that there are other stakeholders, shareholders, it stops becoming your company, and you can't treat it like your own company for your own benefits. So these are my thoughts on governance. These are my thoughts on how do you create a right to win and how do you create a culture of innovation. And I think with that, I was asked to speak for 20 minutes. We completed roughly 20 minutes. So thank you very much for listening to me and wish you all the very best. Thank you.